Strap on your helmets, kiddos. Rod Weber's here to call out bullshit whether you like it or not.
Is Mr. Weber being detained, sir?
I'm a documentarian.
There's a fine tradition of trolling for a cause throughout history.
It's like he's putting a strap on and owning Putin. Getting him. I am, of course, the only candidate who will open the case about Epstein. You're a corporate shell, Mike!
You wrote the Patriot Act, ushering in 1,000 years of George Orwell.
We're calling out the bullshit that is part of the system that we're living under.
Well, how can you protect our freedom when our kids are dying?
If there's a virus out there, you take it, you get it in, and you get rid of it.
You know, it's a fine line between a cop and a fucking criminal.
We're not the New York Times where we endorse two people. We only get one vote.
We have never had anything like this in American history.
This whole argument about the violent left falls apart when you stand in front of a Proud Boy, because they throw the first punch.
Suck, Trump, cock! Suck, Trump, cock! Antifa is not an organization. Antifa is an idea.
I think that is a great example of ethical trolling at its best.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Thursday, December 16th, 2021. My name is Michael Picard, aka The Professional Douche, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. And we are here with a special guest today. That was the main trailer for 2020, The Dumpster Fire. And we are here with Rod Weber today, who is someone I look up to. He is brazen, he is bold, and he does what I would frankly love to do. He makes documentaries. And I would love to make a documentary one day. So maybe Rod and I will have to team up. So without further ado, here is Rod Weber. Welcome.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, can't complain. Just got to make my drink here. I don't have to.
What are you making?
Oh, just some soda.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a sponsorship with them, so I don't know.
Now, is that baby flavoring or what?
Baby flavored soda?
Yeah.
Of course. I always put in my applesauce or whatever it need be. I wish we'd done the lights beforehand, but here, let's see if that's any better. We'll live with it.
That's good.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's like really blown out. There, that's better. I guess. I look really pale and pasty.
You always look pale.
Yeah, but it looks especially so. I mean, which is terrible if I'm a filmmaker. What the hell is going on?
You look like a ghost, to be honest with you.
I know. What the hell is going on here? I mean, I think maybe there's just some weird light apertures. Great way to start the show.
All right. So, as you heard on the live stream, I really look up to your work. Making documentaries is something that I've always wanted to do. How did you get started in making documentaries or in activism, like altogether?
I just, for the most part, I was a scribbler when I was a kid. It was an extension of making finger paintings with your crayons and whatnot at the doodler's table. And my dad had a camera, and it's a common story that you hear among filmmakers. Your dad had a camera and you started playing with the camera, and it was a thing that I, quite frankly, always did. I can't remember when I wasn't trying to turn everything into a movie. And so but it wasn't really something that I fully embraced in trying to make feature films until maybe like my late 20s. I'd gone to art college and which was nonsense. I dropped out immediately. And anyone who has children, do not send them to a ridiculous school like that. You're better off being like Mike here and getting a law degree or something useful. But yeah, I dropped out and then figured out how to be a lawyer on my own many years later, which is a part of the new documentary.
So yeah, that's kind of how I started. I remember these big cassette, video cameras that my dad used to have, and I would play around with it and film and stuff like that. I didn't really know how to edit video until probably my sophomore year or junior year of high school when I took a journalism class. And from then on, I loved video editing and putting together videos. And, it's just so much fun, and it engages the creative process.
Yeah. I mean, that's, for me, that's what it's all about. I mean, I still do paintings on canvas, but it's not nearly as exciting. How's the sound, by the way? Should I get the mic closer here? Are we all right?
No, you're perfect.
Good. But it's not nearly as exciting as going out to a Blue Lives Matter rally and provoking them into a piece of art which they're unaware that they're a part of. There's something about improvisation and the spontaneity of the moment, the chaos that's created at these public events where people are desperate about whatever it is their cause of the day, and it's simply walking into the situation like you do in a inflatable pig costume, or for instance, like people will probably see later, me wandering in with a giant dick that says Trump on it, provokes such emotion from people. It at times I think to myself, if I only had enough cinematographers and high speed film, I could slow it down like the scene in Godfather where there's the stroller going down, and it's at times it just feels like this epic opera of silly people with low brain wattage. But it doesn't matter how emotional and low wattage they are.
Is he talking about us?
Take that back. Say you're sorry.
I guess you have to be a little bit of narcissist in order to endure the things we do.
Absolutely. I mean, why not? I love going up to the river and looking at my reflection, brushing my long, smooth hair.
I've seen Rod do that.
See how I shaved it there? I mean, that's how narcissistic I am. I couldn't even finish cutting my hair. But I don't know, whatever.
So what would you say, what was the first form of activism you did?
First form of activism, I don't know. I imagine that it was usually in environmental kind of things. I remember in my late 20s spending a lot of time with my vegan girlfriend who turned me on to such things. And veganism is a thing that I got over by virtue of learning about veganism, which then opens the door to eating all kinds of meat. But the shit that gets dumped in the environment, whether it's these Teflon frying pans or just oil being dumped into the water like it was at Standing Rock, it should be a cause for alarm for everyone. And quite honestly, it's tied to the corporation and state, like at Standing Rock with Tiger Swan was the mercenary group, which worked for Morton County's Sheriff's Department. I mean, it seemed like the classic definition of fascism right there, which is, quite honestly, one of the reasons that I'm at odds with your stat as an ANCAP. Still one of these days, I'm gonna convince you that at least global capitalism is inherently tied into the state. the state does not have a monopoly on violence. In fact, they license it over to companies like Blackwater and Tiger Swan.
Well, that's as a virtue of their power as the state.
Say again.
That's as a virtue of their self-proclaimed power as the state.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that part. But all little companies, the bigger they get, then I mean, they become little countries of their own. You take a look at Elon Musk, and the guy's trying to form his own city. Let him get enough money, and becomes his own government.
Well, I think in a free market, in a truly free market, monopolies are, how can I put it? They're very unrealistic, because think about how much money the government has to expend in order to keep these monopolies, like the United States Postal Service, the monopoly on justice, and that can only be gotten by force, as opposed to, in my opinion, the free market is voluntary at every step. For instance, if a company gets too big, I can take my money out of it and put it into another company. Whereas with government, you don't get that choice.
I'm just saying that it's unrealistic to expect that there is a free market. The government chooses winner and losers, and
well, that's why there is no free market, because of government, in my opinion.
Sure, but then on top of that, I mean, I guess the point I was getting at with Standing Rock and Tiger Swan and any of those kind of groups is that there's a symbiosis. There's the corporation who is paying the state to have the state do their bidding, which was what we saw at Standing Rock. I mean, there was so then under them were the mercenary groups who, by the way, at one point kidnapped me for simply filming. And oh my God, you've got "Let's Go Brandon" people in your chat here. How quaint!
Tell us for the people who don't know. Tell us what "Let's Go Brandon" means.
Fuck Joe Biden.
That was.
That's what I'm told. I don't know for sure. It might be have something to do with Brandon Navon from Super Happy Fun America. Maybe they're just big fans of him. Hard to say.
I couldn't imagine it any other way. Brandon is such a swell guy.
But I've gotten a little flack from folks saying, "Oh, well, Mike's an ANCAP," and okay, I get it. I don't think that's a big deal. I feel as though that we can have philosophical differences and get past that, and one day I'll win you over, and I'm sure you're thinking to yourself, one day you'll win me over.
The latter's the more likely scenario.
Oh. Of course. So back to what you were talking about, veganism. I'm just curious. Did you see my vegan prank video? I might have. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you did go to a vegan rally. Yes, I do remember now. It's been a while.
I went to a vegan rally and I ate a hamburger.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is a thing to do. So that's another thing, though, is that there's a little bit of punching down that you do occasionally, and I feel like that's one of them. Those people don't have any kind of power. As far as the trolling that I do, I like to do my best to punch up. And as Barrett Brown said in the trailer, there, ethical trolling. I'm sure that. You think that whatever you're trolling is more ethical than mine, and we can debate that till we're blue in the face, I suppose.
Well, the reason I did that, and that was sort of when I was beginning my trolling a little bit. I hadn't done it as frequently as in 2020, and my message got lost. But the reason I trolled them is because they were seeking to have the state shut a business down, which I think is improper. Because, the state, in my eyes, is force. There's no other way to get around that. They don't just ask nicely. They come with guns. They put you in a cage. And that's how they enforce their rules.
I don't disagree with you on that point. I would say, however, you take a look at. So I don't know if those vegans were where they were on the political compass. But for instance, I know that you were talking on Mike Crawford's stream about trolling Antifa. And for the most part, those folks seem to be anarchists. So mind you, anarchists without any kind of power. So I've been trying to wrap my head around the punching up versus punching down in regard to those scenarios.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I mean, so I understand what you were saying to Mike Crawford in that on either side, if you will, and I don't believe there's just one side, but folks say on. Or at least that's what you were saying to Mike Crawford. On both sides, you find people trying to drown the other side out. And I think it's less about drowning. I mean, if you get to the core of their psychology, it's not so much about drowning each other out, but making themselves heard, which you do every time, even when you speak in a soft voice, because you're broadcasting to thousands of people, and maybe not for those folks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I've just found on both sides, no matter what rally I go to, I mean, no doubt about it, the most physical side, at least in my experience, is the right, especially the Trumpkins. But both sides have stolen my signs. Both sides have destroyed my signs, So that was my only point about that.
Sure, and I think that's a minor violation of the non-aggression principle. If that's what we're going at here, obviously I've had my signs stolen and broken and torn up, and that's annoying. But in my experience, if we're looking just at we'll call it like the Trump era, which I feel that we're still in, since it seems like they're still considering Trump. I went to at least 200 rallies. In 2016, and I can pinpoint the date. It was in June of 2016 when the left stopped being peaceful, and I saw at the rallies the Black Bloc coming out and actively being more aggressive in their actions. But before that, they were doing the peace and love, kumbaya kind of thing, and that mentality. Is not universal across the board, but it seems at the core, it's really the right wingers that want to do the violence. If you look at the various deaths between the Proud Boys and Antifa conflicts in, let's just say, 2020, it was the right wingers had 16 kills, and there was one on the Antifa side. So certainly it was far more violent.
Yeah. To be honest, one of the rallies I was most nervous about was when we were in Wilmington, because those seem like backcountry, very. They have a lot of pent up anger, and one of the guys, I've never been threatened with a gun before, but at this rally I was.
Really?
He threatened to take a 12 gauge and shoot me through the eye.
Did he actually have the gun?
No, he didn't have the gun.
Okay.
But it was also like when I used the flag as a prayer rug, that like people were surrounding me and getting violent. And the thing is, they would have had the upper hand because I was on the ground, and I've never been surrounded like that.
Yeah, it's an uncomfortable feeling, but in some ways. When I'm at these rallies, I feel as though the cops being there, makes it so that they'll only beat you up so much. Ironically, it's one of those. If you go back to Herbert Reed's 1941 essay, "The Paradox of Anarchism," one of those things where you're using the state against itself, which I don't know if this is the most pure example of that, but some even say voting is using the state against itself. Some would say that you doing lawsuits, or or me doing lawsuits, or whoever, that's using the state against itself. Because it's it's like the the I don't know, the oppression of the minority, with voting and all that. I like to think of myself more as a Hegelian instead of like a Cartesian philosopher. It's not as simple as just picking your favorite color and the state is evil. And I agree with you on so many points, but any government ostensibly is for the to try to help the people, and like in a sense, when you have private corporations, the big ones, it leads to private tyranny, and at least with a government, you can petition them for redress, or at least that's the theory. It's getting worse. It's moving away from that, but I mean, that's largely why I engage in so much of the stuff that I do. I feel as though there needs to be people calling out power like you and I. So, I mean, and that's why I think you and I get along. And this is, and that's why I appreciate what you do. And in a lot of ways, it's some of your videos are, I mean, like you've just got like a natural sense of comedy, a natural sense of timing, which I can be a little bit jealous of. But I never set out to do specifically all comedy. Whereas I kind of feel like that's like 90% of your output. I have seen some of your more activist related videos. But it looks like you're kind of more on the comedy end, whereas I'm kind of more of a mix.
I think that comedy is a great way to prove a point. It opens, comedy opens people up. It calms them down, for lack of better words, and it allows them to get a sense of how hypocritical both political groups can be.
Yeah, well, again, it's not only two, but I mean,
right.
I mean, because I could talk smack about the libertarians all day long.
No, I say both political parties because they're the main political parties.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just I had to get that chance to get that jab in. At all, the Green Party too. Screw those guys and they're worshiping Hitler and goddamn with Hitler and his veganism.
So I want to play a video that you recently did that I really like a lot.
Okay.
I don't know why this isn't working.
Well, we're gonna have to play the Jeopardy theme song. How's your Wi-Fi connection?
No, it's good.
Hey. Oh wait. Oh, the veil's been uncovered. We can see behind the curtain there. Oh my God, there's junk over here.
Hold on one sec. Technical difficulties, guys.
Indeed. And in the meantime, this is my life-size or super ultra life-size Vermin Supreme artwork, which they made over at the Space Center for the release of This is Vermin Supreme, my 2018 film about the boot-headed candidate. Which I'm sure we'll get to a little of that later, and if we're good, other things might happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna find it on YouTube. I'll play it through there.
Sure. You were trying to do from the hard drive.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Let's see.
Got to let people know how the sausage is made. Sure. Do mana mana. Ba-do-do. Diana, I love you.
All right, here we go. Thanks for the entertainment.
All right. Someone's got to do. It's for me, really.
Look, people want to trust the government, right? We're told that we're supposed to. Those who don't may find themselves subject to shame, ridicule, and fuckery. And no one seems to ask themselves, why? Why should we trust the government? Because some guy in a fancy tie proclaimed that I am the way and the light, and only I can fix this broken and corrupt system. Well, there are those who say, but you have to have a government, and you have to have the police. Well, our government as it exists currently in the United States is not a matter of necessity. We've just allowed ourselves to believe that it is. Look, from the suburbs to hippie communes to gangbangs, you'll find people who want to be in charge. They want to dominate. But nowhere will you find so many people unjustly punished, incarcerated, or killed by the people in charge as you will in the United States. At least when things get out of control at a gangbang, there's a way you can shout your safe word. What's America's safe word? And why should we trust this government? Follow, like, and all that on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and look for 2020 Dumpster Fire coming to Apple TV Plus in December.
I love this video because, people, like I began, like my politics, I don't know if you know that I was like a staunch conservative growing up.
I was going to guess based upon what you were saying your family is like.
Yeah, so, we sort of get brainwashed from our family, because we grow up and that's what we're bombarded with, the views of our parents and family until we get to a certain age. And I'm sad to say that for a while I didn't question government. I believed, that government was out for our best and that the state was a good thing. I believed in the Iraq War, believe it or not. I believed in the drug war. Yeah. So I completely did a 180 after I
mean, to what degree were your family? It was like, Reagan's a great guy. He's smuggling cocaine. There's this whole Iran-Contra thing. Like, I mean,
that's exactly it. My family loved Reagan. And wow. So I completely did a 180 in 2012 when I heard about Ron Paul. And I basically, thought, who is this guy? He's crazy, because again, I had grown up believing that, all the things that he was advocating for was wrong, an end to the drug war. I didn't know what true freedom was. And the more I started researching this guy, the more I started listening to him, the more I started realizing, hey, this guy is onto something. He believes in freedom more than I do, and freedom, like to a lot of conservatives, I'm not going to say to every one of them, it is only a mantra. It's only something they shout and not practice.
I mean, that plays itself out at the Blue Lives Matter rallies all the time. They scream law and order, and then you show up with a sign that says Pig Lives Matter, and they go all out of control, and they violate every right under the sun. Well, I mean, they haven't murdered you yet, but they're, give them time, Mike. And, quite honestly,
there's always tomorrow.
I mean, they wouldn't be wrong. I mean, like, look at you. I'm trying to put myself in Diana's headspace here. You bastard.
That's what we have going on here.
I guess. I don't know.
Diana's been so much fun. I love being in her presence. There's just no other way to describe it.
I mean, you guys really have a weird thing going on. I like to think that I have bigger fish to fry. I mean, you need to get yourself out to some Joe Biden rallies, quite honestly.
I do.
Jesus Christ. Like, enough with the Diana shit. I mean, like, it's funny. I get it. Obviously, I'm the one.
But she keeps just like opening her mouth and inserting her foot. I told Mike Crawford this, but when I found Diana's Airbnb in Washington, D.C., I said that was enough. I'm not going to troll Diana anymore. I said, I can't imagine doing anything better than that. But then Diana announced that she was running for governor. And I said to people that I would only come back and troll her if she did something stupid again. So
I mean,
I got to keep my promise.
Yeah, you have those moments when you're doing this kind of activism, and one of those times for me was at that Trump rally in Rochester, New Hampshire, where he called on me to cite scripture, and then I get myself roughed up at the end of it, and I thought to myself, not the roughing up, but calling out Trump to his face, using the Bible, which he claims to love, against him, citing that verse, "It's noble to seek the office of overseer, but he who does should be above reproach, sober-minded, not quarrelsome, and not a lover of money." I mean, it was just like, when I came across that verse, the idea immediately popped in my head, that it was something that I had to say to him. Never did I think that I would really have the opportunity, not only for him to ask me to cite scripture, but to actually then get to say it to him.
That was amazing, and we're gonna watch that soon.
Right on. But but as things progressed, it then even trying to speak to him about being roughed up because of that it led to the retaliatory arrest, which led to my lawsuit, which as now seems to have led to the FBI investigation of me and Lauren, my wife, and it just keeps spiraling out of control. And you don't think it could get any better or worse, depending on how you look at it. But holy shit, 2021, it's has really stepped on the gas pedal. As far as the state going after me and Lauren.
Yeah, I've been watching, and it's it's nothing short of a witch hunt.
Yeah.
They don't like your view, and they're gonna punish you for it.
Well, they're gonna try.
They're gonna try. So how did you get into dumpster fire? Like what started you on this course?
So back in 2004, I was making a narrative film, which was a caper comedy movie with this guy, Tiny the Terrible, who I cast as sort of in a Danny DeVito kind of role. He was the villain, but only to the extent that you have a villain in a comedy, which was a comedy of errors. I got the idea in my head since I was always interested in politics, that I wanted to shoot a scene with the 2004 DNC in the background. Dumpster Fire is the name of the film. It's 2020 The Dumpster Fire, which is my documentary about 2020. But back in 2004, I brought Tiny out to this thing, and they had free speech cages and all the these ridiculous draconian it's just the idea that that you can speak here, you can or you can't speak there, but in one of the quote unquote free speech zones, they had erected a makeshift stage, and Tiny got up on the stage and did a rap about his love of George W. Bush, which I filmed. And at the time, I just thought it'd make like a funny behind the scenes moment. But as I continued to film this narrative project, Tiny's strange Republican conservative, which quite honestly were misguided, because even then I don't think that he's actually Republican. I don't think he's actually conservative. There's just way too many behaviors that he has in him that go contrary to that. It's like you said, his dad told him that he had to be a Republican, so he's Republican. And he would even say as much. But long story short, that ended up becoming a full-on documentary about this. Tiny the Terrible is a midget wrestler. Forgive my use of the M word, but it's harder to say little person wrestler. He's been on WWE, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 times. He used to wrestle with his brother, who's not his twin, but is also a midget. They did an act called Twin Towers. He's gone as Cloacus. He did a thing with the wrestler Viscera. I don't know if you remember him. I think he passed away a couple years ago. But he was
I was never into wrestling.
Come on, politics is wrestling, Mike. Come on, this.
You're right. I'm into politics, which is wrestling, but not into like professional wrestling.
And I agree with you absolutely. Watching an entire wrestling match, the part that is akin to the Greek sport just puts me to sleep. But the politics that seems to be wrapped into it, I'm fascinated by.
Absolutely. And the Dumpster Fire 2020, the Dumpster Fire will be available on Apple TV on December 26th, right?
So it's available for pre-order on December 26th, which is a point of frustration for me and my crew because, let's just say we thought that it was actually just going to be available, just as Avery is saying, to actually watch on that day. But it's pre-order on the 26th, and you'll be able to watch it starting on January 6th. Which I think is an appropriate day, at least symbolically.
Absolutely. That's how your film ends, isn't it?
Yep.
January 6th.
I mean, could you have it any other way?
No. That's like the epitome of a dumpster fire. What happened on January 6th?
Absolutely. And the funny thing is that is the people at the distribution company had so they emailed us the other day, and they were saying that they were talking to the like the foreign sales agent, and we're talking about for foreign sales dropping the 2020 part. And so I threw it out on Facebook. Is the phrase dumpster fire even a saying outside of the United States? And apparently it is in Canada, and I've heard in Scotland, and I've heard some disagreement about the various regions, but they came back.
I saw one comment saying rubbish fire.
Yes, exactly. And so the distributor was saying, well, it's just, because it's, it's getting into 2022. And I made the point again, being a Hegelian, that if you simply remove the 2020 part, you might be titling your film garbage. That was the descripting word or phrase about what 2020 was. I mean, it's really about 2020. But anyhow, I digress. Let's talk about spelling and grammar next.
Rita said that politics is a soap opera for men and children.
Absolutely.
I couldn't agree with that statement more. It's just crazy how, being a part of all these protests and seeing, what goes down. People yell freedom, freedom, freedom until they disagree with it, and then they'll say and do some nasty shit to you.
Yeah, put the boot on your neck. Call the cops on over.
Yep.
Arrest them. Have them arrested.
Okay, I'm gonna play the second 2020 dumpster fire trailer. So let's see if this works for my hard drive.
So this crazy! Well, when he accused my friends and I of being satanic Antifa members, that was a bridge too far!
Antifa members conduct a cult ritual in Boston streets, eat bloody heart, symbolic of Trump.
Sure, we drench ourselves in blood! And we set a Trump effigy on fire! But you don't have to be a member of Antifa to know that there can be no revolution if the people can't dance! 2020, the dumpster fire!
I love that one because Alex Jones is in it. Alex Jones is like one of my favorite entertainers. Like he says some pretty funny stuff.
Yeah, he absolutely does. And it's not unreasonable to say that he's potentially a disinformation agent. I know that the FBI, when they raided us in 2016, just outside the RNC, they cited something that Alex Jones said as the reason for the raid, and I got them to admit that on camera. You can also see on the Joe Rogan podcast, which was, I think, that the first one after the RNC, where Jones admits that he was not working for the Secret Service, but seemed to be at least collaborating with them to a degree. He makes a mention of that. And listen, the guy went out to Bohemian Grove, and he got to see Moloch the Owl God in person. You don't get to do that and not be put to work by the FBI or the other three-letter agencies. I mean, it's...
Didn't he also say in his child custody case that everything he did was an act?
Of performance.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got to know, a number of the info war affiliates that were out at the rallies in 2016. They seemed to have like a higher budget for that sort of thing at that time. Either that, or there was a philosophical switch towards doing more in studio work in 2020. But I got to know those folks, and goddamn, like every opportunity I could to jump on one of their live streams and remind his audience that he admitted to being a performance artist, I certainly would. There's a great video actually with Millie Weaver. I sent you the link, which I don't know if we may or may not get a chance to see, but Millie Weaver was one of his affiliates at that time, and she said some funny stuff about Vermin Supreme, which ended up I cut it together as a hair shampoo commercial because at that time they were pimping Alex Jones InfoWars shampoo, and she was the spokesmodel. It was a lot of fun.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
So I never knew you went to the RNC for some reason.
Well, yeah, that's in the 2016 films.
Okay.
Obviously, because of COVID, that was less a thing. I believe they still did something, but it wasn't a spectacle like it was in 2016, and I did not go in 2020.
Okay. Yeah. So you troll both sides. You're not just biased towards one side. You've trolled Joe Biden.
Yes, I should point out I troll both sides so long as they're in power. I like I was saying earlier, I feel as though it's punching down to troll Bernie Sanders supporters as you have, but that's my cross to bear. I have though trolled Joe Biden, I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 times. Man, I mean, one of my favorites was this church in New Hampshire where I was, I brought a guitar thinking, I might make up a song, and he just took so goddamn long to get out of the church that it actually provided me with the opportunity to come up with a decent hook, and it was, honestly, it's one of my favorite political moments.
Should we play the video?
Yeah, I think we have to. I mean,
I think it's a must.
Yes.
Here we go.
Joe Biden wrote the Patriot Act. Now we're all screwed. There's nothing to do. Joe Biden works with segregationists. Now we're all screwed. There's nothing to do. We're all screwed. Joe Biden is bringing us down the big hill. We're all going down. Joe Biden, who wrote the Patriot Act. Now we're all screwed. The country is screwed. Country is screwed. Joe Biden wrote the Patriot you. We love you all. And I hope you continue screwing America, because America loves being screwed by you.
I love that it was.
This is like one of the first videos I saw of you. This is like the first video that I saw of you, and I absolutely loved it. Like that was high art right there. Like I could never just like think of a song on the spot and just sing it, and never mind play the guitar, because I don't know how to play the guitar.
I'll tell you, I was very happy with myself, and your audience can say that I'm a narcissist or whatever they want, but God damn it, like I felt like there was a part of me, my ghost left my body, and I could see myself doing it, and like, this is a moment of greatness. I can't believe I've been granted the opportunity to troll Joe Biden so hard, and then the dude became president. I mean, it was such a thing of beauty. We were so happy with ourselves. And I'm going to give a shout out to Dave Crowfear, who was my backup crew that day. Thank the forces that be for Dave being there. So amazing.
It was ordained by God.
Yes, whoever that is.
So yeah, that was the first video I saw of you, and I instantly fell in love with you.
I feel the same way about your videos that you were doing on early on. I don't know which was the first one, but everyone knows the inflatable pig for sure. It was, I think the first time that we saw each other out in public, was it Wilmington, or was it that rally in Dorchester?
No, it was definitely the Wilmington rally.
Okay. And I knew who you were, and you came over and was like, "Hey, it's me," and I was like, we don't want people to know that we know, and just kind of walk the other way. And in retrospect, if I knew that they were going to get so pushy, perhaps it would have been better for me to stay closer, because they ended up not only they didn't beat me up that day, but they certainly pushed me to the ground a couple of times and ended up stealing my iPhone, which was not just expensive in the monetary value, but the videos that I had on there, and that was the thing that pissed me off the most.
Did you filed a report and the police did nothing, right?
Correct.
Well, that's what happens at most of these rallies that I find, anyways. Is that the police will just look on and do nothing.
Well, no, it was worse than that. If watching the long form of the video and other subsequent videos that people posted, it wasn't just that they were doing nothing. They actively helped facilitate it by pulling me away from the bush where the phone fell into these bushes. And you can see after the fact, the woman who she clearly reaches out and purposefully takes it, which is why I was unable to find it, and pockets it. And then at a later point, actually because of a photo that I believe it was you that posted it, that I was able to identify her face. Not that that helps, because I haven't seen her since. But yeah, as Lauren is saying, we gave up on police reports after that.
And so have I, because I find most of the time, like I had this, I was at a rally, a Back the Blue rally in Torrington. I identified this lady who trashed my sign, and not that that's a huge deal, but the police did nothing. They usually end up doing nothing, so it's not even worth it, in my opinion, to file a police report anymore.
Well, and I should also say to the people out there who are going to shout at you and I, say, well, what did you expect? Of course you should have known that. I have known that for years. Nonetheless, when I did it, I viewed it as an act of journalism, that if following through with each and every step as the law is written or or at least suggested that you should be filing these things. I wanted to follow through with that, and at a certain point in 2020, there was just so many of these incidents that I felt as though that it didn't serve any journalistic purpose any longer. That I'd had these interactions on dozens of occasions, and the only time that I can recall in dozens of times where police either actively helped facilitate an assault or a theft. The only time where I ever saw the police acting ethical was at a Trump rally in Warwick, Rhode Island, where they actually arrested some guy that spit on me. So, I don't know. I did not, and that was the thing too, is that since I didn't really believe, of course I didn't like to be spit on, but I didn't believe in cooperating with the state. I didn't show up for court when they asked me to, so I imagine he got off. But he may have learned a little lesson.
Yeah,
definitely gross.
So we are here joined by Rod Weber. He is a performance artist and a documentarian who has been assaulted many times. He is currently under consideration for an Oscar. I personally think he should also get a Grammy for his performance in Joe Biden Wrote the Patriot Act.
Thank you. Lauren said that too.
So he's under consideration for an Oscar for his documentary coming out in January. It's called 2020: The Dumpster Fire, and he is also under consideration for an indictment as well.
Which I should I should correct you though. The documentary officially came out in New York a week ago. We're having the Boston premiere tomorrow and Los Angeles simultaneously. It's coming out on VOD in January.
Okay, I thought like public release in January. That's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just I'm just giving a plug for tomorrow. You know how it is.
Okay, so it was released in New York on December 7th through the 14th.
Yep.
And there's a Boston premiere tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also getting released in LA, correct?
Yep. LA is tomorrow, the 17th through the 23rd.
All right. Let's watch another trailer.
Mm.
This is one of my favorites, actually.
Okay.
Was at you pretty fast, so I decided to join the presidential race in 2020. I am, of course, the only candidate who will open the case about Epstein. It really upset Trump.
You see what he's gotten written on his very dirty undershirt?
But it upset Biden, too.
You wrote the Patriot Act.
And while they were at home in their bunkers, I was out there in the streets.
This is America.
When the protests were done, I sued Donald Trump without a lawyer and won. What did you do with your 2020?
So your documentary basically chronicles, first of all, you going on the campaign trail with the presidential contenders. And then you kind of sort of took a different direction when the George Floyd murder occurred.
Yes, which on one level, if you were to pitch that to a Hollywood distributor or anyone else, they'd say that doesn't make any sense. But I actually know a couple of other filmmakers who were out on the campaign trail with the intention of making campaign films, and they had to shut down because once COVID hit, really there weren't public events, at least to the extent that they normally are in years past or campaigns past. And so quite honestly, I also thought that it was just going to be a wash, and it was, I'd have, maybe a 20-minute short and posted up on YouTube. Didn't think anything of it. But when I saw, what happened with George Floyd, I immediately got my ass over to Minneapolis and just started filming. I barely even got, an hour. I would get like an hour of sleep a night, just filming almost around the clock. And it was, like I said earlier, I was at Standing Rock, and I saw Morton County Sheriff's Department and these mercenaries firing water cannons at people with their hands up in the water in the river. And I, personally got, snatched up by basically effectively kidnapped by mercenaries at one point, who turned me over to the police. I didn't think anything could get more crazy or violent than that. But going out to Minneapolis and seeing what went down there, holy crap! It was just there was, I filmed National Guardsmen tearing this black man out of his car, almost mirroring what happened with George Floyd. And I'm thinking to myself, are they going to do this again right in front of me? But very, I don't want to say very sensibly, but I guess somewhat sensibly, I guess as much as one can be when you're acting as a criminal unit, a criminal gang. They at least listened to the protesters. Were like, do you see what you're doing? Like, holy shit. And so they let him go. But nonetheless, drove off in his car. And so this guy runs and jumps on the back of the National Guardsman's Humvee, rides down on the street on it. And I mean, that seemed like, that was extremely weird. At certain points, there was, there was trucks who, I don't want to say for sure they were Trumpkins, but, trucks that had that Trumpkin kind of aesthetic, driving by and firing live rounds of ammunition, which if you've never been in that situation is, that's some scary ass shit right there. I saw, the cops, going by in these cargo vans where they'd slide open the side door and just start popping live rounds of God knows some kind of explosives that they were shooting at folks. And I remember
they were shooting rubber bullets at people, huh?
No, those were explosives. They were doing rubber bullets too, but I mean with the cargo vans, it was some kind of explosives. And I remember, vehemently, trying to, share this with any of the mainstream press that might care about it. And they're like, "Nah, that didn't happen." And I'm like, "I have video of it." And they, for whatever reason, just didn't care. And then, of course, I think it was back in, I want to say September or October, through Freedom of Information Act, I don't know if it was a FOIA, but for they were able to get the body cam footage, and then CNN and everyone else under the sun started reporting, as I was saying, that the cops were hunting the protesters. But of course, no one believes little old me, and this is something that's in the documentary, and the fact. What does Lauren say now? Rod, tell the people. Jesus, come on, Lauren. They did shoot me in the dick once, but I don't know why she needs me to share that. I mean, I've been shot all over with the rubber bullets. That wasn't with an explosive, but that's my wife bullying me from. She's cyberbullying.
I have to ask a follow-up question now. Did they get just the tip?
Actually, that was the thing that I was, I was trying to explain when I went on Lauren's radio show at that time, and she was. It sounded like she was a little worried about the family jewels there, and I had to, so I should say that it was not a direct, straightforward hit. It was as if I was, like sideways like this, and just kind of hit into the side. So I think my pants absorbed the impact more than it would if it was straight at the family jewels, as it were.
I bet everything was in slow motion.
On playback, everything is.
So you're also how can I put it? So yeah, when it reminds me of the same thing, when I was in Washington D.C. on January 6th. It was crazy to see all that taking place. There were people destroying news equipment, tons, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars of news equipment, like cameras. They'd smash it on the ground. Tripods, those heavy duty tripods, sound equipment, stuff like that. And I was right on the steps as they were, right on the steps that go up to the Capitol, as the Capitol Police were throwing out, smoke bombs and stuff like that, tear gas.
And I'll tell you, I mean, that's one of the things that I regret deeply. That was one of the things that I was simply not there in person for. And honestly, just because what we were hearing across the board, that it was going to be a goddamn honeypot, that violence was planned, and I know that I had a target on my forehead, not only with the Proud Boys and other factions on the right, but also police that had it out for me. And we can see very much with what's going on with this federal investigation of me that, as my wife Lauren will frequently point out, that it was good that I didn't go there, because they, in their investigation of us, I mean, that was one of the things that they said, that they, in their first visit, they said that they came on as part of the January 6th investigation under that umbrella. This FBI agent Creed, or excuse me, he's a JTTF agent that identifies as FBI. He introduces himself as such.
And he's been deputized as an FBI agent, right?
Yes. He's technically, I guess, gets his paycheck from the Boston Police Department, and maybe they smother him with honey, from the FBI. I'm not really sure how it works. But he comes along with his buddy Steve Kimball, who's very well known from the Boston Marathon bomber hearings. He was the guy that nearly screwed up the case by taking things wildly out of context on the stand, using Key and Peele clips and Tosh.0, and making it sound like Sarniev had said these things, which sounds like a big fucking lie, if you ask. I mean, sounds like this dude was lying on the stand. I've had others. Listen, I've done enough civil suits to have people say that I should be careful in using the word lie, that it was an untruth. But goddamn, it was a fucking lie. This dude just straight up taking the folks out of context and using comedy, which is why I'm concerned for you or anyone else who makes satirical statements around these kind of people, because of the manner in which they can take anyone out of context, and to the degree with which they can really fuck up your life by simply making it sound like you said something that you didn't really say, and it meant something that you didn't mean.
You had said something a while back on another live stream. I forgot whose. It might have been Mike Crawford, but you said that agent, I believe he's an agent, right, Kimball?
Yeah, he's a full.
You said that he was a master at weaving narratives and making a statement out to be something that it's not.
That's exactly what seems to be paid to do, is to take these clips and quotes out of context. And even when he approached me, it was aside from the fact that he actually, well, I think it was Agent Kennedy that brought up the Proud Boys, but aside from the fact that they brought the group broadly, which again is 3 different agencies working together. Mentioned the Proud Boys. They came at me saying that this Proud Boy said that there was one of our movie trailers was evidence of a plot to assassinate Donald Trump, which is just, I mean, it's ridiculous on every imaginable level. But they tried to diffuse this accusation by then bringing up, the props from our performance art, specifically these giant dicks and giant vaginas, and cracking wise about that, pontificating about Ron Jeremy, and the theory that Alex Jones is long dead comedian Bill Hicks. They got into weather control and chemtrails, just kind of rambling about everything under the sun, which quite honestly has absolutely nothing to do with me or my wife. And quite honestly, if this thing ever goes to trial, which is doubtful, I mean, they're going to have to be held account for these things. Not that it's illegal to talk about that, but I mean, certainly it's going to make their department look extraordinarily foolish. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if that's the road you want to go down, guys, I mean, have at it.
So how did it all get started with you and Creed and Kimball?
Well, I mean, Creed's been a known quantity for a while. He was actually out at Standing Rock, and so it's hard to know if I was put on his radar at that point. The Intercept actually used a FOIA request to point out that I was on their list of as a person of interest as it related to Tiger Swan and Morton County's Sheriff's Department. So very easily I was put on Creed's radar at that point. But the first time that I can prove was Lauren and other friends were at this pizza restaurant, Pizzeria Regina in Allston, Massachusetts. And lo and behold, Super Happy Fun America walked in, to get their eat on and do a planning session for their Straight Pride Parade, which was up and coming at that time.
Just so you guys know, Super Happy Fun America is a Boston group. They used to be Refuse Fascism, I believe.
Resist Marxism, and prior to that, they were Boston Free Speech.
My bad.
No, it's all good. But they're basically like an anti-gay group, which they refute. But I mean, you could very easily see that they had Joe Vival. This is this guy who wears the Nazi medallion and gave basically, I don't want to say just transphobic or homophobic, like explicitly anti-gay statements at one of their Resist Marxism rallies prior to that. They invited Tiny Toisi, who explicitly gave many talks about explicitly against homosexuals that can't be construed as an act of comedy, which they over and over again try to say is what's happening. But so going back to my wife and her friends being at the pizza shop, they sent out the bat signal, and I came down and started filming the commotion that was going on at the parking lot, since it had moved outside at that point. At which point Agent Creed made it very clear that I was not to film his buddies, at Straight Pride. I asked him, is that lawful or something to that effect? And are you giving me an order? And he insisted that I leave, which is not surprising, because leaked emails going back to 2011 show that he is very fond of. He was actually reached out to a group called Northeast White Pride, and seemed to have an affinity for those folks. Much as he has an affinity for Straight Pride, which,
in fact, I heard a recording or something like that of or an email or something of him reaching out to the Northeast White Pride to see how he could help them do an event or something like that. Do you recall that?
I think you're the thing. So there are a number of recordings of him reaching out to various people, but in the case of Northeast White Pride, that was an email, and unless there's more information that's been leaked that I'm not aware of. But his pro-Trump stance is that's not a secret. Yeah, but it's I think our relationship has blossomed and bloomed since then, and by and large, he's part of what brought Lauren and I together. If it wasn't for his constant harassment, we might not have bonded in the way that we did. But 2020 was a tumultuous year, and for Lauren and I, it wasn't just a season of protests. I'd like to say that it was a bit of a love story, and which led to us tying the proverbial knot.
Agent Creed bringing people together.
Thanks, Andy. Such a great guy.
Swell. I remember seeing him at the Super Happy Fun America event that we just went to. I think it was back in November or October.
Yep. I think it was early November. But
early November, okay.
Yeah.
And was that his buddy Kimball next to him or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that was him. Sorry I didn't get you in the shot, but I had to think on my feet.
If I hadn't been distracted, I would have trolled him, to be honest with you, because he seems like a good target to troll.
Hey, you don't want to get yourself on that list, but I don't know if you want to say good target in regard to someone like him either.
I will revise.
It's comedy target, Andy. Comedy target.
I will say that he seems like a fun person to hang out with.
Sure.
Better.
Oh yeah, we're all best friends now. Best frenemies.
So, would you say that he's targeted you because of your political beliefs?
I think that anyone who didn't see that connection is potentially used a pair of scissors to gouge out their own eyes, or just a flat out Trumpkin. But as I kind of touched upon earlier, as a result of what happened in 2016, I had this lawsuit against Trump, which I filed in 2018 after 3 years at that stage of unsuccessful, or close to 3 years, because the statute of limitation is 3 years, but I wasn't successful in finding a lawyer who would take the case, so I decided to just do it myself and learn to be a lawyer. And
why did you sue him?
Well, it goes back to the rally where I cited scripture. After being roughed up by his goons, I went to another rally, which was not a Trump rally per se. It was a multi-candidate event with everyone from Bernie Sanders on one end and Trump on the other, which was put on by this group called No Labels. And when he was done giving his short speech, which is very short for Trump, he was opening the floor to Q&A, and there was an issue with their PA. Their microphone wasn't working, and I was 5 feet away from them, so I just politely raised my hand. I was in the front row and asked them, hey, I was roughed up at this event. Can you speak to that? And as he was responding, his quip was extremely short, and said at kind of in the moment where they're plugging in the microphone and there was a noise and I was distracted, says, you look healthy to me. Didn't hear it. I heard the audience laughing at it. And this FBI agent, Edward Deck, or I should say former FBI agent, but it all ties in with the harassment. The law enforcement don't like being sued. The FBI doesn't like it. Anyone in power doesn't like it. And if they're able to transfer over the harassment for one of their friends that was sued, to make it look like it's not Edward Deck who's directly harassing me right now. They will do that. That's how they obfuscate what is transpiring. So Deck tapped me on the shoulder, said, you got to go to the back of the room for the microphone. I assumed that he was likely lying. but carrying through as a journalist, as I was, as I did in those days. I followed through, got to the back of the room. The mic isn't there. I turn around. They've made kind of a human wall. And he gets in my face, starts shouting at me, and ultimately, I stand my ground, as Republicans like to say that you should do. And I pointed out that it's not your rally, so you have no standing whatsoever to tell me anything. You're not a member of the government. You're not one of the people working for the people that rented this hall. You need to step back. And as I later learned through the course of doing the lawsuit, it's actually what's known as a public-private facility, which stems from the Pruneyard Shopping Center case. And in that one, something which qualifies as such would be, like in a mall where they've got a police station or they've got an army recruitment center, or anytime they've got government facilities within a mall, they have to treat it to a degree like a public facility. And so it was one of those, and they called over off-duty police officers who were in uniform, which is another odd thing that went on that day. And basically acting under color of law, they collaborated to, again, rough me up. And when I asked to press charges, they performed a retaliatory arrest. So it was really a perfect storm of illegal activity by Trump's minions and the local police department and this former FBI agent. So not only did I sue these people as individuals and in their official capacity, I sued the Trump campaign and the true Trump corporations under respondeat superior and alter ego doctrine. Most folks don't even know that there are two Trump corporations. One exists alongside the other in order to obfuscate and actually confuse people when they're filing lawsuit, again, to shield them from litigation. Edward Deck himself has a number of shell companies called Xmark, and I'm boring you to tears with the details of this stuff, but I had to learn all this bullshit in order to get them in a position where they wrote me a check. And whereas I don't have a piece of paper from the American Bar Association on the wall, I do actually still keep papers from Cleveland Water and Bass as kind of a reminder. This is my equivalent of a law degree hanging on the wall.
And I just want to let people know one of the principles you said, respondeat superior, is vicarious liability. Basically, it's the principle that the act of an employee, the corporation is liable, or what have you.
Correct.
Their superiors are liable.
Correct.
For the acts of their employees.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did you begin? Like, you don't have a law degree, and I love this about you, the fact that, it's basically David versus Goliath,
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you get started in this lawsuit? I mean, what, I imagine you had to do a bunch of research and stuff.
It was an obscene amount of research, but my family was always very argumentative, which in and of itself does not make one qualified for the law. But my grandfather was a lawyer. My uncle was a lawyer. I have a cousin who's a lawyer. My great-grandfather was a judge. So
you kind of grew up around like legalese and stuff like that.
I think that my parents probably would have been more pleased if I'd gone down that road. And I've certainly had people say, well, why don't you go and just pass the bar? And I don't think that I'd have any issue doing that. But it's not what I want to do with my life. Whereas I think with you, you're going down that road, and you see your trolling activities as more of a hobby. I've made it a full-time profession. You call yourself professional douche, whereas I actually am. I've got a full-on LLC and a licensing deal, which has this thing coming out on Apple and Google and yada 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 and all that stuff.
Let's replace you with Lauren. I want to hear from Lauren.
Yeah, Lauren, you gonna come on? I mean, Lauren's much prettier than I'd rather hear her speaking, but I know she was she at least claimed that she was trying to get her beauty rest, but obviously she's popping up in the comments. That's not happening now. There has been some argument made that it's not a great idea for Lauren to be talking about these kind of things, and that's fine.
That's understandable.
I get it.
So
I think because I know it's 8:20 now. I feel as though your audience would like to see some of the sillier clips. I don't want this to pass without them seeing some of those Trump dicks or my interactions with Rayla, or I obviously I gave you a whole ton of clips there, and I mean you can pick from whatever you think that people want to see.
So something that I thought was really funny was excuse me. Not funny in the sense that you got arrested and that you're facing charges, but you actually did like a whole performance art thing about Hunter Biden.
Oh yeah,
this past summer. So tell us what was up with that, and then we're gonna play the video.
Well, I mean, Hunter Biden, by all accounts, is a wonderful John. All the hookers that he's been with always say that he treats them well, and he seems to be a nice guy. He gets just
outstanding.
Gets enough cocaine for both of them, without going against the non-aggression principle and doing cocaine on their butthole without asking permission. Yes, exactly. He's a wonderful John by all accounts. That said, he has a painting hobby on the side, as do I, and he evidently decided that he would use that to launder money, as Jeffrey Epstein and everyone else down in Art Basel seems to be doing anyhow, because what better place to hide the money than a painting. So this gallery, George Burgess Gallery in Lower Manhattan, announced that they were going to have Hunter Biden there, and they were selling some of his paintings for up to $500,000. And especially after I had done this performance art piece at Art Basel in 2019, it seemed like a logical continuation of that. And so I went there, as I often do, with a couple pockets full of silly string, $100 and $1 bills to make it rain, like one does in a strip club, in honor of his love of sex workers. And I got some pink hairspray, which is another one of my tried and true methods for writing on walls without damaging it, so that it doesn't legally meet the definition of graffiti, since it washes off. It's actually the equivalent of sidewalk chalk. And so my intention when I went there was to write the phrase "Daddy War Crimes," but I was tackled after only getting through the word "daddy," which is actually in many ways just goddamn funnier.
Let's play that video now.
Yeah, said all it had to say.
Because that's a perfect place.
Let me love you, wrap my arms around you. Let me call you, ride the pony. Let me love you, let me love
I love you.
How I want you, now I want you. Let me love you.
So I think that's actually, you went there to do to point to a serious issue in that Hunter Biden, who has no track record of being an artist, was getting 500,000, right?
Yeah.
And but also that the lists of buyers were private.
Yep.
But what it really turned into is a love story between you and this what was he, a guard or something, or just an employee?
So on his LinkedIn profile, and I do know his name, but I'm not going to say it because, again, I think that would be punching down. I think he was kind of a hapless janitor stuck in the middle from best reports. He was just working there as a janitor. And he did what I guess came instinctually to him, which was to tackle me. And by going into that bear hug, he made it 1,000 times funnier because I just, in my wildest dreams, I couldn't have imagined that, I'd get in a situation like that. And honestly, because he was a little bit overweight, I'm not trying to fat shame or anyone out there who's struggling with their pounds, but it just made him so that it was very quickly out of breath. And I made the point to him over and over again. I'm like, dude, like, it would not be hard for me to get away, nor just, hurt you and get up. I'm not going to do that because I didn't come here for that purpose. But like, come on, man, you're making my video just so much, like, you're making it better. Like, I'm like, do you understand how this is a Chinese finger trap? That I've judo rolled you into my performance art here, and you're actually doing my bidding. Oh man, it was just.
And a lot of these people, they make our content so much better by giving us a reaction. I don't understand, not to give away like the secret sauce here, but this should come as common sense. If you don't react, then they go away.
Yeah. And the funniest thing is in New York City, there's sirens all over the place, and he's got me in this bear hug after I'm making it rain. I'm throwing the dollar bills there, and there's this massive plate glass window which it actually turned the thing into a stage. And when he started to hear the sirens, he's like, see, they're coming. And I'm like, dude, it's New York City. You think that's for us? No, you're gonna be stuck here doing this all afternoon. He's like, no. It's good. And of course I was right. And when they got there, the cops did their best to brutalize me. And actually, once I was made it down to the catacombs, they actually treated me as a special prisoner and had me interrogated the Secret Service attempted to interrogate me. I toyed with them a little bit and basically said that I wasn't going to talk to them without a lawyer, which is on the police report. A lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet that was.
Oh yeah, can't get enough of that.
Just looking for another video to play.
Okay. What's a good one? We did the Patriot Act. There's Drunk Cop. I think your audience would like that one called Drunk Cop. He's not actually drunk, but it's one of these situations. It's after a Pete Buttigieg rally, and he's trying to interrogate me, and I interrogate him back with the old "Have you been drinking, officer? Do you have any firearms on you?" I don't know if that's what you're looking for here. That's an option. There's some of these Blue Lives Matter rallies. Pedophiles.
Let's do the rally we were just at.
Oh yeah. We should do the Wilmington one.
No, the one at the Boston Commons.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is that necessary? Is that necessary?
We are here at the Super Happy Fun America at the Boston Common today.
Now, their stated purpose was to protest masks, but we all know it was just an opportunity to hang out with their old friends, like John Camden there. He has a neo-Nazi wolf's angel tattoo on his neck, but for some reason they spent most of their time chanting "Let's Go Brandon." So Lauren and I decided to investigate.
Let's go Brandon! go, Brandon! You're American over here. You're not over there.
What are you doing? Get out! Get out!
Get in your safe space, Sue. Please shut it down. You better not touch me.
I'm not touching anyone. I'm staying away, buddy. You've got the syphilis. Brain worms.
How do you feel about hanging out with like white supremacists though?
The ratings.
Where'd you find white supremacists? I don't know. That core group is full of them.
Vaccines are what the children need.
Have you seen any testimonies?
They have electrolytes in them.
Let's go, Brandon! Hey, shouldn't they all be in school? Right? They're all young kids.
Can we do school on Sunday now?
Oh, maybe. I got a big mouth. Let's go, Brandon! Whatever that means. It means let's go eat a burger.
That was the answer. Let's go, Brandon means fuck Joe Biden. We should totally just start saying fuck Joe Biden to ruin their TV interviews.
Fuck Joe Biden. Fuck Joe Biden. Fuck Joe Biden. Fuck. Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me, Samson.
You have no clue what you're fucking talking about. You're intellectually ignorant.
Hey, you exist.
If
I called you out in particular, then don't even try to play games with me.
I'll call you out any day.
No, if you said I can,
with your
you can
bullshit.
call me out. I'm not picking up the phone. Fuck off.
Fuck yourself, Daryle.
You're standing behind
People like you fuck up this country.
The country that you're looking for needs to be fucked up.
2020, The Dumpster Fire, coming December to streaming.
That was one of the funniest things you've done is, I think, just, yell, fuck Joe Biden when everyone else was yelling, let's go, Brandon, into the camera.
I like it to make one of my specialties to ruin their interviews if at all possible. It's just because, again, it's one of those moments of where the media are working in this symbiotic relationship with these folks, and they're determined to give this both sides narrative, as if, well, we just have a disagreement about things, and there's dude showing up with a literal Nazi tattoo on his neck, and they fail to mention these things. It's not just both sides. So I don't know. It's also funny that the woman that was there, she's shouting about Antifa who are off in the distance and saying, shouldn't they be in school? And I
love that
Sunday, lady. Like, you even know what day it is?
Yeah, I love when you're yelling, "Get in your safe space, Sue."
I know.
For those of you who don't know, Sue Iani is a part of Super Happy Fun America. And that event, the video that we just saw, was a rally, I believe, on November 7th or so, at the Boston Commons, where the Super Happy Fun America was holding. What was the event? Do you remember?
Oh, I think, wasn't it Rise Against Tyranny? I want to say
Rise Against Tyranny. That's actually what I named my video of that event.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's funny is they don't get that. They don't get the irony of shutting down. Yeah.
We're going to work with the tyrants against tyranny. Okay. You guys keep doing you.
But also they're tyrants themselves.
Well, of course, yeah.
Because they only allow your free speech if they agree with it.
Oh, absolutely.
So do you want to watch the first 10 minutes of your documentary?
I've seen it, but if that's what you like.
Well, for my audience, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is the first 10 minutes of 2020, The Dumpster Fire, which came out in New York on December 7th through the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming out in Boston tomorrow. It's coming out in LA. Remind me again when?
17th and 23rd. So tomorrow, the 23rd.
Okay. So 17th through the 23rd. It'll be available for pre-order on December 26th on Apple TV.
Yep.
And then it'll be out to the public on around January 6th.
Yes, and that's on Google, Amazon, Vudu, iTunes, maybe some others, and I think DVD, probably be in Walmart or Redbox. I'm not in charge of these things anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So here's the first 10 minutes of 2020, The Dumpster Fire, Rod's new documentary.
His latest movie is called 2020, The Dumpster Fire.
After what he scrawled on the wall of...
It's Rod Weber.
But if you don't have a unifying narrative, you will disintegrate. And that's what's happened. Our narrative now is white people are bad and America sucks and be babies and be a victim and whine and scream and, the college will give you some Play-Doh to play with and an American flag to burn. I mean, that's really their default position. And so when you look at these crybaby drama queens and who they are, this is where this is all going. They'll ruin your business. They'll ruin your life. They'll tell you how moral they are all day, but they're lazy. Absolutely evil. And we've allowed them to do it, so it's our fault.
I'm Rod Weber, the guy who Alex Jones is trying to demonize. One thing he does get right is that you've got to understand narrative. America is a corporatocracy run by psychopaths, and those with wealth, fame, and political power will do anything and everything to hold on to it. Politicians are full of shit, media personalities are full of shit, and if you don't have piles of cash, you've got to use spectacle, humor, and trolling to call out bullshit. Now, the 2020 election was in full swing, so I set out to bear witness to the truth and call out politicians on their bullshit. I gave them one chance to be serious, and if they couldn't handle that, I was ready to make things weird.
Bible verse. It is noble to seek the office of overseer. However, he who does should be above reproach, sober-minded, not quarrelsome, only married once, and not a great lover of money. And will you take a flower for peace?
That was me in 2015, and the shtick was to get them to take a flower so that there would be peace over their presidency. I somehow had endeared myself to all kinds of political insiders who I had no business talking to. My hook was flowers and Bibles and prayers for peace. And my friend Vermin Supreme, the guy with the boot on his head there, he was, of course, the king of the hook.
And Rod came up and he started working it in his own way, his own fashion, and interjecting and intercepting himself into politicians and presenting the flowers and asking the questions and asking them to pray with him. And he was successful because he had a hook. It was different. He had a message. He was focused, and politicians will play along, especially in the New Hampshire primary, because pretty much they have no choice to.
One person, one vote. Fuck you, Trump!
I'm in between the duck and Biden. I won. No brainer.
I plan to build these islands and section them in such a way that we protect the interior of the seas.
If you brush your teeth and you have PFAS chemicals in your water supply, it's just going to cause you to have cancer anyway. So what do? Do you brush your teeth and hope that you don't have cancer, or do you brush your teeth with bottled water at this point?
Hello, who am I? Tell me my name. Tell me my name. Who am I? What is my game?
I wish I knew what my name was. I wish I knew where the nude beach was.
Hi everybody, it's me, Vermin Supreme, the guy running for president with the rubber flute on his head.
That health care is a human right, not a privilege.
Yeah.
And we are going to end the disgrace, and it is a disgrace, of being the only major country that does not guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child.
Society is only as healthy as its sickest member. You know, that sort of philosophy is what Bernie stands for.
I'm mad. I'm sorry. I'm mad as hell about it. That we haven't gotten any further than we've got.
I mean, Donald Trump obviously says crazy bullshit stuff. He's a fucking rapist. We know this. He's a complete psychopath. Joe Biden's like a lesser extent of that.
Lauren was 1,000% correct, and yet the DNC were hell-bent on promoting this corrupt screwball Biden as the guy who would stop Trump.
At this very moment, you absolutely have zero reason to have faith in democracy. I'm not a nihilist, I'm just being honest. But that's because it is no longer the risk. They've been called out as, you know, as riggers, as electioneers since 2016. Their own people. Donna Brazile admitted it. Elizabeth Warren admitted it. Tom Perez admitted it on the Unity Tour.
There's so much that went wrong in the 2016 election here that so many Democrats are upset about. I mean, you can start with Donna Brazile, you know, given the, you know, the results of the debate, to Clinton ahead of time. You can talk about Jared Beck and his lawsuit against the DNC and how they could make decisions in smoke-filled back rooms. What are you gonna do, you know, to convince all the people that were for Bernie? They wanted Bernie, but they just weren't ever going to do Clinton. How are you gonna get past that hurdle and make sure the DNC doesn't mess it up like they did last time?
Kelsey didn't answer the question, so let's just jump right into Joe Biden's background.
Why attack Sanders?
Why, you're getting nervous, man.
Biden is facing sharp criticism for recalling his work with two staunch segregationists.
Somebody running to be the leader of our party should know that using the word boy in the way he did can cause hurt and pain.
To coddle the reputations of segregationists, of people who, if they had their way, I would literally not be standing here as a member of the United States Senate.
He did the crime bill. He voted to deregulate Wall Street. He voted for the Iraq War. He did Libya, the bankruptcy bill. The surveillance state is because of him.
One of the changes, though, sought by the president, but not included by my friend from Utah in his bill, is to allow emergency wiretaps.
This is the legislation which became the Patriot Act, which Joe Biden bragged about writing on many occasions. It has led to the mass surveillance state, and as I know from personal experience, the FBI can label you a terrorist and simply burst into your home without a warrant. 4 years later, and I was dodging punches from Proud Boys starting riots and right-wingers using their pickup trucks to run people down. Yet we're labeled the terrorists. Thanks, Joe Biden.
And we have freely given away our rights, and we're now to a point where we need to speak truth to power. You know, we need to boldly highlight things like the president's complicity to, you know, Jeffrey Epstein. You know, why aren't we still talking about that? Like, why aren't we talking about World Trade Center 7?
Trump who's a monstrous figure, but a very effective confidence man. He's kind of like just an old story in American life. You know, the P.T. Barnum fight, the guy who could say the Brooklyn Bridge.
But I think if for some reason we overcome all the gerrymandering and the interstate cross-checking and the militia nuts with gigantic tricked-out guns showing up at polling places to check for so-called vote fraud so they can, you know, have the real vote fraud. and everything, if somehow, that coelacanth Biden gets in anyway, blowtorch up the ass the whole time.
So that was really good. I can't wait to see the full thing tomorrow. So it looks like now we have Vermin Supreme with us. I'm fangirling right now. I'm fangirling. Here we go. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vermin! I recognize you with the hat.
Meow.
I don't think his audio is working.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
There we go.
Can you see me now?
I can see you and hear you.
Can you smell me?
No.
Absolutely. How many fingers do I have up? What do I smell like?
3 fingers up your butt.
One of the. Okay. All right. We'll go there. Sure. Hi, Michael. How are you today?
How are you? I'm doing
wonderful.
well. How are you?
Thank you for having me on your show here.
In your honor, I have a boot, but it's too small. It doesn't fit my big head.
Yeah, it's very tricky finding the proper boot for one head. This here is a brand new boot. Unfortunately, they discontinued the previous model, and this one weighs about twice as much. It's a whole nother movie. But what the heck can you do? It's really hard to find the proper boot this day and age. Isn't that true?
It is.
Sure. They make them to fit your feet. Sure, but they make you buy 2 of them almost every time. Doesn't matter how many feet you have. It just doesn't matter anymore. No.
Yeah, I mean that must be that's like discriminating against people who only have 1 foot.
Exactly, or who want to wear a boot on their head, for that matter, or have a foot on their head, or have heads on their feet. That would also be discriminatory, I believe. There's just no telling. Hey, guess what?
What?
This is my 10-year meme-iversary. I am celebrating 10 years since I became a meme. Now, I've been doing my thing for much longer, but the fact of the matter is, December 19th, a day that will live infamy, the day that I performed the glitter bomb heard around the world. It is when I dumped all that glitter on dude's head on C-SPAN, and that made me a viral sensation and then into a meme. And I don't know how many, I know 7 human years equals a dog year. But I really don't know how many years equals a meme year. I think it's an awful lot.
That's an incredible responsibility and honor.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
not easy. It's not easy being a meme. Let me tell you. Sure, people think it's fun being a meme. It is, but it's sometimes you have no control because anybody can put words over a picture of you and confuse people. And that has happened to me before.
I find that funny, though. Just it goes to show you that people can, basically the hate that people, the hate that people have fuels me. And when people make a meme about me, whether it's good or bad, it fuels me.
Yes. I've discovered that when it's 1 or 2 or, a few people hating on you, it can really bug you. But then when it's dozens or hundreds of people hating you, then it's just oh, well, it's much less personal. You just don't take it so personally.
No publicity is bad publicity.
But I think all in all, the love and the appreciation far outweighs the hate and distaste and anger that people like us tend to provoke, because of course we are saying things that some people don't want to hear, and we are making fun of people that they don't want us to make fun of, and of course it's very strange because of course I believe that we are all iconoclasts here, and we all enjoy tearing down icons. But it's weird that when one becomes an icon, being an iconoclast, and
Absolutely.
it's very precarious position to be in.
And tell us what's going on at 9.
Well, at 9 p.m. tonight, of course, this whole week has been a celebration of my meme-iversary. And so every day, every night, we have been showcasing a talent, a documentarian or a journalist who has covered me, if you will, who has covered a certain period of time in my career, such as it is. And tonight, our special guest is Mr. Rod Weber. Where do you go? Oh, he must have gone over to my show or something. So at 9 o'clock, we will have Rod, and you are welcome to join us. Also, come on over and hang out a little bit. And we are going to watch some of the amazing clips and video that Rod has accumulated over the years of our travels and hijinks together. And we'll be reminiscing. We will be reminiscing. Good times, right?
Yeah, your adventures look fun. I have to say, from the 2020 dumpster fire video, there was a short documentary, 20 minutes, that we didn't really get to watch tonight. But those cut scenes are amazing, where like you guys are frolicking in the woods, and it's just like a fun video.
Oh yes, much fun. We like fun.
How did you guys meet?
How did we meet? What?
Tinder. You swiped left and I swiped left.
Okay, I knew it was the internet. It was definitely the internet, and I think
it was during the Romney years. I remember.
Was during the Romney, because I remember you doing that crazy Romney artwork with the nuclear explosion blowing out of his head and stuff.
Yep.
And I think I remember that more than maybe even than meeting you personally. It was this sort of that internet presence and communication that we were having at that time.
Yep.
And then as Rod developed and he just realized that how much fun it was to hijack the political scene and the political circus. I think that's when our paths really started to cross pretty regularly, because he saw the potential. And of course, I've always been promoting that potential, especially the New Hampshire primary, because just the way it's set up, the way it's laid out, it's 1 week of pure political mayhem intensity. The New Hampshire primary is the first primary in the nation. It's a small state. It has an outsized significance. Every last damn candidate that is running for president, either Republican or Democrat, rolls in right after the Iowa caucus. They all have campaign headquarters. They all have campaign vehicles. They all have campaign staff. They all have campaign events. And they just ping pong around the state. And it's very easy to intercept them and fuck with them and have fun with them. And Rod was, Rod was definitely one of the few who once again saw that potential and seized it by the fucking testicles.
He's done stuff that I'd like to do, like actually go to a Trump rally, where Trump is there, and go serenade Biden. I thought that was just the funniest thing.
You may get your chance, my friend. You may get your chance. It's a nonstop circus, and Mr. Trump seems to desire to do it again. So I hope he does, and all his maniac followers and all of that things. So yeah, it's just crazy fun. It's subverting reality and presenting our own version of reality and altering it to our liking and causing them to freak out. As you know, I've seen some of your work, and it's just very fun that you present yourself as this one thing that you're not, but you stick to it and you try and convince your opponents that no, it's not like that at all. I'm on your side.
People are also like thoroughly convinced that I'm paid by George Soros as well. That's like the funniest thing. Like, I've had people give me their business cards to tell me to send them the check, because I tell them that George Soros himself signs the checks. and you know, people actually believe that.
Yeah, I mean, people believe a lot of things. People are so stupid and gullible and prone to enjoy the latest conspiracies and all. I mean, and not just in an ironic entertainment fashion. People really, really like that stuff.
I, on the other hand, have the pay stubs from Trump. Checks signed by his people.
Nice.
Checkmate.
Anyway.
So it is 8:55 right now. I'm sure you have to get ready for your live stream, and I'll be happy to join you over there.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah, come on over. It's going to be a blast. If you love Rod Webber like I love Rod Webber, boy, you're going to love this show because you've watched him here, and now you can watch him there.
Who doesn't love Rod Webber besides Creed and Kimball?
I think they actually love me more than they let on. There is a secret symbiotic relationship that federal agents have with Lauren and I, and I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I think I don't think that they actually want us to go to jail. They enjoy the cat and mouse, and to a certain degree, we enjoy it with them. I mean, because they're comedic adversaries. I'm not going to go so far as to say that it's Batman versus the Joker, but
all the world's a stage. The people are merely players, and I think it's a wonderful thing when we make our own plays and our own narratives and our own movies and our own realities, and our adversaries try and thwart us, and we do everything that we can to thwart them. But anyway, I'm going to go over and check out my own SteamYard thing, and I'll see you there very shortly. Thanks for having me on your show. Hopefully we can do it again sometime when I've got more time. I know you've got all the time in the world, and we'll catch you there. All right. See you soon.
All right, sounds good.
See you soon, everybody.
Thank you for coming. Bye. So, guys, if you have the time, come over to Vermin Supreme's YouTube channel. We're about to go live there and have some more fun. 9 p.m. Eastern time, by the way. And his YouTube channel is Vermin Supreme Official. Any last words you'd like to leave us with, Rod?
I'd like to say that it's time that we just admitted that we need to make one person king and overlord. We need to just get over it and go with the pageantry, the capes, the ceremonies, the wonderful crowns. Make Joe Biden our king forever and ever, and we can all live in peace and harmony. It'll be like a Liberace concert, 24/7. We can bedazzle him in glitter and ponies, and I don't know why we haven't come to this conclusion earlier.
Certainly, believing in authority has led to some of the world's worst atrocities. And that's just something, that I'd like to leave my audience with. And so, guys, at the bottom, you'll see, links to Rod Webber's YouTube, his Twitter, his Facebook as well. Go check him out. And thank you guys so much for listening to us. Thank you for
the one last thing. The thing I gotta say to make a sale on my YouTube channel there are so many other videos of me trolling the cops, doing the things that I think you like about Mike, that Vermin and I have been doing for years. It's not just the filmmaking. We have a lot of time, a lot of fun time, just going out there and poking the bear. So definitely check that out, and definitely come over to Vermin's show. We're going to get more into the clips about the boot-headed one himself.
And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Please keep us posted. Guys, 2020 The Dumpster Fire has already premiered in New York. It's premiering in Boston tomorrow. Do you want to give any ticket information in case people want to come? Are you guys booked?
So for the Boston show, you can go to capitaltheaterusa.com, and that's theater spelled the fancy way with an RE at the end, theatre. The Los Angeles cinema is Lumiere Cinema at the Music Hall. And their website, well, it's such a long phrase. You'll figure it out. I don't remember.
Capitol Theater in Arlington.
Yep, Capitol Theater, Arlington, Massachusetts, and the one in Los Angeles is right next to the Oscars office, which I'm sure all you LA people know all about that. And yeah, again, Lumiere Cinema at the Music Hall is the full name of the venue.
All right, and again, it comes out for pre-order January 26th. Or I'm sorry. No, December 26th. It comes out
I knew what you meant. Yeah.
I'm just making sure my audience knows. And it comes out to the public on January 6th, which is such a fitting time for it to come out.
Oh, yeah.
So great job, Rod. As
you
always, we love you. And, continue to keep us posted on, what comes down the road.
Yep. Come on, everyone. Come on over to Vermin Stream. We're gonna keep the fun going. All right, see you over there, Mike.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. Have a great night.
I sent it to your signal. So that's where the link is. All right. See
you
All
right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
See you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
I'll get out of here. How do I get out of here? Oh my God, there I am. How do I get out?